What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Xbox Roundtable. This is episode number 148. I'm your host, Invader, and hey, it's certainly great to have you all here with us. We've got all kinds of stuff to cover tonight. There's been a lot of talk and movement over at 343 Industries, as well, our thoughts on the announcements during Gamescom, not to mention a slew of new releases from Xbox Game Studios. However, before we get into all these, let me introduce everybody on tonight's panel, and I'll start with Tim. Buddy, hey, it's great to have you on tonight. How have you been?
Hey, how you guys doing? Happy to be here. Sorry about last week. Was inundated with work. Actually, didn't. Who's washing the machine? Who threw their phone in the washing machine? But I'm re-energized, and I'm happy to be back here to talk about Xbox and the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to be re-energized. Shock, buddy, I'll move on to you next. What's new and exciting?
Oh, not much. Was finishing selling the rest of my collection. I think I'm up to like about 2,500 that I've made so far to sell my Dreamcast and GameCube games. I have a small collection, but
hey, those retro games are hot commodities, man.
Yeah, especially some of these PS2 games I got for $1. I'm selling for like 20 a piece, so pretty easy profit. But I've been playing around more with that xCloud and trying out like Wasteland 3 with it. So that's pretty cool.
Did you get a chance to deck your phone?
I turned it on like last night. I hadn't played around with it much, but yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Very cool. I was very impressed by it.
I was kind of annoyed, like when I got the Kishi, I'm like, cool, I can, now that I have the Android, I can play with the Xbox games with remote play. But you can't do it on Sony if you're game sharing, which is kind of shitty. But you can do that. You can totally have a game share partner on Xbox and do remote play, and you still can play all your games that are on the Xbox in your living room. For some reason, they block it. I don't know.
Sweet.
That was kind of sucky, but yeah. Otherwise, Wasteland 3 is pretty cool. Especially if you've never played those games, I think you should definitely give it a try. The writing, the humor in it is really cool. The player customization. So
yeah,
definitely give it a try on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll get into my impressions later on, but so far, like I've only had a little bit to actually try it out, but so far I have I'm pretty high on it at the moment. Moving on to Jeremy. Jeremy, buddy, it's great to have you with us tonight. How's things at your end?
It's good, man. Got a chance to play some games recently. Trying to finish up God of War on PlayStation, and then I had a chance to play Tell Me Why and Wasteland 3. So I'm working on those. I kind of want to stick to one game only because I get sidetracked with everything and I end up not finishing them. So I'm trying to finish God of War first. And then I think I moved my way up to Wasteland 3. I heard it's like 60 hours or something like that. So
yeah, there's a lot of content packed into those games. Those RPGs can be quite detailed, and Wasteland 3 is no exception. All right, and last but not least for tonight, Centurion Man, how's it going?
What is up, guys? How's everybody been?
Good.
Right
on. I've only been able to have a little bit of time to play Saints Row 2 here and there, but I'm actually enjoying it. I'm actually kind of shocked I missed it for when it came out, so I'm glad backwards compatibility actually exists.
Well, the whole entire Saint Row series is pretty good.
See, I bought the Saints Row 3 remastered, and the OCD in me wanted me to play the second one, so I started there in the second one, and pretty much I'm actually enjoying Saints Row 2, so I'm looking forward to Saints Row 3 remastered and actually playing the actual series from this point.
I like it because it kind of separates itself from that whole open world genre where it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, definitely very funny, full of cliches, and definitely if a developer was to try to do some of this stuff today, they would definitely be pushing the boundaries of what is socially acceptable at this point.
Very true.
Oh, dude. Well, I'm
Did you
working
play
on
the
a.
first one?
Who said what?
Oh, did you play the first one?
No, I did not. But oddly enough, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't really search for it too hard on the store because I already had Saints Row 2. I think I got it like in Games with Gold.
Probably.
So I was just like, I might as well start there. But I don't know. I never played the first one, but I will say I did go on YouTube and just kind of get the lowdown.
Yeah, I think most people played it because it's the only next gen like GTA like game at the time before GTA 4 dropped. But yeah, that's where I got into. I don't think I've played the others, but the first one I enjoyed. But.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you talk about the content of it, Centurion, because right now I'm working on a review for should be out soon, Destroy All Humans, the remake, and there's some interesting.
Oh, dude,
there's some interesting dialogue in there, and I'm really really happy that they kept it all.
I am. Oh my god! I'm not scared, but as soon as I saw that dude throw the rifle and he's like, "Time for some probing," I'm like, "Oh my god! This game was wrote back when people had a sense of humor." Hallelujah!
Dude, that game does a great job in stereotyping people.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? But that's the fun. But no offense, that's the like. I'm not. That's the funny part of it. Do you think an alien is going to come down here and try to be like, I really couldn't say that, but it just definitely looks from the perspective of an alien coming to our planet, and it would seem strange. Like the first thing they did was they tried to pretty much proposition a cow because they thought it was the world leader.
Well, I'll tell you what, they'll be visiting me first because we have plenty of cows and plenty of rednecks here.
Yeah, you'd be the dude with his feet kicking out of its rear end. Did you see the trailer for the remake of the game where like at the end of it, like the alien had actually implanted dude inside the cow and he's like kicking outside of the cow at the end of the trailer? I loved that whole trailer. I was just like, man, I gotta play this game just because the trailer has Rammstein in the background.
Well, we played it, what was it, like 10 years ago when it first came out? I believe it was 10 years ago on the original Xbox. Was it 10 years ago? I can't remember.
And I actually did.
It's about 15 years old.
Is it 15 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I will say, I do like to go back and look at what the original looks like. And oh my God, I'm so glad I'm playing this version. I'm sorry.
Is it that different from the backwards compatible Xbox One X and Anthem?
No, it's not that different. I mean, it looks nice. It looks way better, obviously. But what's there? What makes that game good is intact. And
so, what version of the game did I see then? Because I swear to God, I saw one that was on the original Xbox.
No, it's different. They have new abilities for the like they've changed the controls. They've added different things to the saucer, new abilities for Crypto, the alien.
The saucer was in the original.
No, he's talking about the abilities that you can use on the saucer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm actually one of those guys that don't ask me why. I'm a collect-a-whore. You put me in a game where there's collectibles and I'm running around grabbing them all. And when you're trying to watch, like find some of them, like you were pulling up some of the old content from the original game, and they have actually moved some of the stuff around and put like trees and from what I've seen, the game looks totally different. And but this is the original OG Xbox version that I guess I picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they even have a lost level or whatever included in there, one that they had like polished up to add in. So it's there is a little bit of extra content in there. So
if I'm not mistaken, it's the original THQ or used to make that. I forgot. I think it's
THQ.
Yeah, it's THQ, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the second one was redone as well. So because it's seeing a lot of praise at the moment. So and it's good. It's a really fun game, and I suggest anybody.
I've been having more. I was just gonna say I've been having more fun with games like that than some of the stuff that's been pushed out lately. Like I'm actually grateful for a remake like that because I actually missed it when it first came out, and I'm having more fun with that game than some of the stuff we've gotten this gen.
Yeah. That's the truth, and I just picked up because there was that sale last week. I picked up Bulletstorm, the full clip edition with the Duke Nukem in it.
That's a great game.
Yeah, I've heard. I couldn't help but pick it up for $5, and I'll definitely be playing it sometime this week. It's hey, I like my guilty pleasure shooters, so why not, right?
We'll have to play multiplayer because that was like one of the first games me and Downer ever played multiplayer on. He actually showed me the game. It was in my backlog, and he's like, "We'll load it up and we'll play multiplayer."
All right. No, we'll get on that. I have to arrange something with Jay the Graphic God first because he just picked it up as well. So yeah, definitely do some multiplayer action with that. Some co-op because I think there's like some kind of a score attack mode in there. So kind of like a horde in a way. Gotta look more into it. But either way, I have a guilty pleasure for shooters. So why not? All right. And before we begin tonight, guys, just a friendly reminder that the show is available on a large number of different podcasting services. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and just a wide range of other platforms. So definitely take a look at that if you're always on the go.
Promote that super chat, baby.
Yeah, that was next on my list, Jeremy. And hey, you know what, guys? We hit a few milestones, and now we have the super chat availability. So if you guys want to get in on that, leave a little something. We'll read out your comment.
It's okay.
Super chat. Definitely, buddy. But Canadians can say, "Can you believe this guy? Come on, give him shit in the chat." Come on, Jay. I know you want to say something to Jeremy right now. But all right, guys, we'll move on to our first topic of the evening. No reason to keep everybody waiting. And recently, there's been a whirlwind of news circulating around 343 Industries as of late, and a lot of things have that came out earlier in the week got shot down by the developers. However, a huge move got announced a few days ago that Halo veteran Joe Staten has been brought in to take over as the campaign lead. This is a pretty big move considering that he has a pretty big legacy from Bungie. Now, Centurion buddy, I know you've been covering the whole 343 Industries stuff as of late in your own video content. What's your opinion on 343 getting Joe at the helm?
Well, forgive me. I'll be upfront. I didn't really know much about this gentleman until I read about him. I never really concerned myself who was involved in building a game until I got a lot older. So forgive me on that one. But it is good to see that Microsoft is definitely reaching back in time and bringing somebody who helped kind of flesh out the Halo franchise that we all know and love. And it's good to see that they're putting him in a position where he's going to have a little bit of say-so over the direction of this game. Because didn't they put him like I know Bonnie Ross is the one that's in charge of 343, and pretty much there's him and someone else who answers directly to her.
Yeah,
if I got the gist of the article right.
There's Kiki, and then there's what's his face? Frankie.
Yeah.
I'm just like the one thing is okay. So I'm just going to get into it. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It sucks about this whole situation. I'll say I wanted to definitely give 343 the benefit of the doubt. If they're going to come out and say that's an old build of the game, cool. If they're going to come out, like I remember when the actual studio leads did leave 343 and everybody said there was going to be delays, and 343 came out and said no, there wasn't. And I guess if you really kind of read the articles very closely at this point, you can see a lot of the internal struggles that are going on at 343.
And I brought this up last week and said, hey, maybe it's a leadership problem, and boom, the week came on.
And that's where it is definitely a leadership problem, regretfully, because you can kind of use COVID, the whole situation that we're in with the pandemic, as an excuse. But if you have proper leadership to begin with, this shouldn't have been that big of a problem. I know that the pandemic has affected everybody. But when you really read the articles and get into the big problem going on at 343, they didn't really have their stuff together before the pandemic. The pandemic was nothing more than the straw that broke the camel's back. What's going on?
Somebody's swatting.
What did it remind you of? To me, it reminded me of like the whole Crackdown 3 debacle. And this is how
I don't. I don't know about Crackdown 3 because Crackdown 3 is a total okay. So actually,
they lost half their dev.
Yeah, they lost
with the one that Epic bought.
Yeah,
CloudGen.
CloudGen. I almost called them Cloud Tech. Sorry, CloudGen. Yeah, they bought that whole thing out. Microsoft was in a position to actually take them to court. So that I feel is a different situation because that was something. Let's probably face it, the game's development was probably all over the place, and that probably was a major setback. But definitely,
the moves that were made, that's what it feels like, in my opinion. Right now, I'm thinking the game's going to be launched Q1 of 2022. That's what I'm thinking about.
No. I like how they've come out and said that there is no other plans outside of the game launching 2021.
Well, that's what they said about it.
I think at this point, I'm pretty sure Microsoft is definitely have you seen how many developers they really have? Outside of, let me try to get this. What was the new one that was just brought in? Invader.
Somebody.
Certain Affinity was just
Certain
announced.
Affinity, Spearsoft, and there's Skybox. So those are three known developers that are helping outside of the mass amount of third-party developers, contractors, whatever you want to call them, that Microsoft has put towards helping 343. Regretfully, you could have all the manpower in the world, but if you don't have proper leadership, come on, we all know how those stories go. So I really hope 343 gets some things kind of together. I hope they find the leadership that they need and put them in the proper positions to definitely get this game out in 2021. But for me, I really see this game coming out holiday next year.
You had a chance to meet Joseph back when Halo 2 came out. I found him to be an extremely bright and intelligent guy who has done great work with the franchise in the past. I do think he has a great understanding on how the campaign needs to be from a Halo fan's perspective. So I think he's going to bring that to the table, bring that to the campaign. And me personally, I think he's going to deliver. At the same time, can we really trust Xbox to deliver the ultimate Halo experience? I mean, their previous track record includes State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves, God of War. I'm God of War, Gears of War 4 and 5, Crackdown. Many of these titles were killed by the media, and some did not live up to the standards, even according to Xbox fans. So I don't know, man. It's a wait and see with me always nowadays with Xbox and some of these big games that are coming out. So, that's my take on it. But as far as Joseph taking the lead, I think he's the right guy to do it. And on the multiplayer side, I forget his name. What's his name? Who took over multiplayer?
The guy's name is Pierre Heinz.
So Pierre Heinz, he actually saved Master Chief Collection back in the day when it first came out, and he kind of helped. The problems that Master Chief Collection had.
He's being put towards the free to play side of it. That was his that is his main objective. Is going to help the free to play side of the multiplayer.
Yeah, but he saved really Master Chief Collection when it was in a bad state at that time. So we'll see how everything goes, but I think they picked two great guys. Now let's see if they could deliver.
I hate the situation that regretfully we've put 343 into, because this is where, sadly, even in my industry, in my professional life, we have the same situation where I have customers tell me, well, so-and-so did it this way. And it's like, well, so-and-so doesn't do it anymore. So, pack up, move on, get over it. If you guys want me to absolutely be serious, I love the way Master Chief has looked in Halo 4 and Halo 5. I love that futuristic look of his armor. I'm gonna tell you right now, the flat green armor, hey, it looks cool, but I love details. I'm a picture whore. I love looking at detail. I love resolution. When I saw that that demo that everybody complained about over here with the 3-second face on the screen, I saw the detail that they put into his leather gloves. I mean, the blemishes in the leather, how the light was actually kind of hitting it and showing those blemishes. There was some detail there that people didn't, where people were fixated on something that had no detail that was on screen for 3 seconds. They couldn't see the detail that was in front of them that was on the screen for minutes. And that's where it's just like, you know, I'm sorry that Bungie no longer does Halo, but pack it up. Don't be a Halo fan anymore, because Bungie moved on. Maybe you're not a fan of 343's Halo, but to basically hold a gun to their head and say, no, do it like Bungie did it, that means they have no studio. You have nothing that sets you out from the other guys. Why would you want to recreate a product that doesn't make it look like you basically are just recreating something else that someone else made? You have no personalization on it at all.
No, but that's not where it fell off. It fell off in some of the most important aspects of video game creation. And I'm talking about story creation. I'm talking about gameplay. Well, not gameplay. I'm talking about the narrative experience. It fell off in multiplayer. It fell off on almost every major aspect of what made Halo great, which is this, you know, story-driven characters. You know, it was very character-driven between you and Cortana, and that was lost in those games.
Well, if you actually listen to the main premise, the short and easy version of Halo 4 and Halo 5 is Halo 4, the story was great, the multiplayer sucked. Halo 5, the multiplayer's great, but the story sucked. They're flip-flopped. That's
I would say that Halo 4's story is much better than 5's, absolutely, but it's nowhere compared to part 1, 2, and 3. I mean, even 2 was, I was kind of angry with part 2, but
oh my. So here it is. Like, I hate using food references because I never want to be mistaken for someone else. Let's get that straight, everybody. But let's if you go to a new restaurant and you try a new meal for the first time in your life, and then you keep going to that restaurant over and over and over again, you're never gonna get that same feeling again. And like, it just comes down to how do you expect them to reinvent the wheel?
No,
like they created Halo, they created something special.
Come on, dude. You look at games throughout history, some of the greatest games ever made, like Zelda, we're talking Grand Theft Auto. These games,
Grand Theft Auto,
one after another has
Grand Theft Auto, to me, the stories have sucked in Grand Theft Auto until Grand Theft Auto 5.
You're freaking high. I don't know what you're talking about now.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City was nothing more than a ripoff of Scarface. I'm sorry, but how imaginative do you have to be to create the same plot as Scarface?
Invader, turn his mic. He's talking nonsense now.
It was a total ripoff of Scarface.
If I may interject, Centurion, you know what? I totally understand what you're saying, and I definitely understand your side. My thing is, I want to give 343 the benefit of the doubt, because I do see a lot of good in what they've done with their trailer.
I want to see what 343 can do. I'm tired of people saying do it like Bungie. I have actually enjoyed what I have seen. I've been enjoying what 343 has been putting out, and I feel like this whole Bungie situation is holding them back.
The only thing I would say about 343 is one big thing that I think has been an issue with them is they tried to put too much of their own personal spin on whether it be weapons, vehicles, and armor that's already iconic and nobody really complained about. Like, you look at, for example, the rocket launcher, right, with the spanker. It's like they had redone that, and then fans were bitching. It's like, well, why did you do that? Same thing with the shock. You know, they had to add it in as DLC, and it just, like, there's all kinds of little things like that. So
it's funny that Centurion brings up the whole, do it like Bungie, but then they bring in a Bungie guy with Joseph. So it's like,
well, that's where this is what the fans want, though. this is what the fans want. They bring in, this is because like the fans have been telling them do it like Bungie, so they really are trying.
Well, let's not act like Bungie got it right every time. People were pissed when they took away the Magnum in 2, or when the multiplayer changed in Reach. People were really fucking pissed, and that's what kind of led Halo 4 into that direction. And they just went like full blown with it, and then people got really upset. But blame Bungie; they led them in that direction.
Well, my question is, guys, Joe is coming in. We're presuming that Halo is going to be released at the end of 2021. And so assuming he's going to be on this project for a year, as well as the guy who's on the lead for the free-to-play multiplayer, is that enough time for them to put their own personal staple on this to kind of, fix everything?
Yeah, I mean, it is enough time. I think the game is complete. It's all done and ready to go. However, I think the reason why they brought Joseph in is to make the story a little bit tighter. I really do. And the campaign kind of work a little bit better with, maybe some production set pieces, just streamline it a little bit better.
Try to figure out how to deliver it to the fans in a more normal way. Because I mean, if you read some of the articles about how they wanted to like make it like episodic and that they released stuff on timed release dates, I mean, you could definitely tell in the development they were all over the place.
Yeah. So I think that's what's going on. And Joseph can deliver. I mean, like I said, this guy, if you ever hear him speak, this guy is crazy intelligent. He's a super bright guy.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy, he's written, who knows how, a few really well known, some of the best Halo novels. He did the story for ODST. In fact, he's also done grunt voice work in a couple of games. But people also forget that he's very important within Microsoft Studios. I believe he was impactful for when it came with Flight Simulator. He did the storyline for both Crackdown 3 and ReCore, which both have, I would say, pretty decent storylines, especially ReCore. I think he had a hand in
a great storyline. I really enjoyed ReCore for what it was.
Absolutely. And I think he had a hand in Tell Me Why as well, to be honest. I think he had did some story work with that. Yeah. But Joseph is a very well-known guy, and honestly, if anybody's at the helm, I trust this move, to be honest.
Is it interesting to you that like Cyberpunk has a lot of similarities here, that they got delayed 7 months and they won't have their next gen parts ready until like sometime in 21, but no one's ever like complained or said a word about that? But it's because this was the first party, so it's on the side of a console. It's on
Cyberpunk was supposed to come out this gen, so they get a pass.
I mean, that's basically what this game is. Like, this was supposed to come out earlier, and then they started like, okay, well, we're gonna retool some things because they got some backlash from 5. This was already in development. So, and you can clearly see there's not that much of a difference if a game's being developed.
Yeah, there's a difference because we knew that
it's Halo 5, it's being developed on you don't even have the hardware 2 years ago.
It's okay, Shock. You can yell at me. It's okay.
It's the same thing as Cyberpunk.
Everyone does anyway.
21. We got the next gen, console version for Cyberpunk. It's coming probably a few months late. So I don't know.
I'm right there with you, Shock. I don't know why everybody's complaining about
people saw the fighting in Cyberpunk and they said,
Halo Infinite was a Xbox Series X launch title. That's the way it was always promoted. That's the big reason. And so it's not the same, Shock.
I mean, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where they kind of like, okay, we're just going to push this off a little bit and make it it was a Wii U game, but we're going to make sure it launches with the Switch.
Yeah, that's the same. That's basically the same.
Well, my take on this. Go on.
No, I want to hear Tim Dog. I've been watching you kind of unmute and mute your mic. So no, you go, man. No, the floor is yours.
No, I mean, listen. If you look at the situation, Joe going onto the set and Pierre or whatever, that's going to mean a year delay. So you're looking holiday. November of 2021, which is, I guess it's okay because Xbox doesn't really have a lot planned, I think, for 2021 because of COVID and I just think their games are going to hit past 2021. They're going to be in 2022, 2023. But I think that this reminds me a lot of Crackdown. But the difference is I do think 343 is actually a good developer, and I do think that they have a lot of quality things going on, like you pointed out. Some of the things that was focused on was not all, it was Craig, but there were a lot of things that you did see in that video, in that trailer, that were impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that the year is gonna really help the game. In my opinion, though, we talk about Crackdown. I mean, talk about Cyberpunk. The difference is this was Xbox's game to show off power, to show off what next generation is, and we know now that they failed at that. So it's not their original plan was this was going to be a showcase title. Everything was going well. I do think COVID definitely played into the delay, but I do also think that this year is going to really help them. And for me, it's just a matter of them, nailing it. If they mess this up and they really don't hit the if the worst thing you're saying is that the graphics aren't great, but everything else is amazing, I don't think that that's a reason to say 343 is not up to the task. But if they don't hit, the story aspect, and they don't make a full, complete game here, and they have mishaps, it's time to look at 343 and say, either in management change or. You have to come to a point where you have to realize that they've had Master Chief Collection that was, even though it was a great idea, it failed because it didn't work. Then you had Halo 5, which missed the ballpark. They didn't have the narrative, and they didn't have the story. And now you also have them missing the deadline, and that was an agreed deadline from Xbox and 343, Bonnie, and everyone involved. Now you're at the point where if they don't do what they're supposed to do, I think you got to definitely be honest about the situation and look at the whole situation. But as Centurion was pointing out, they definitely have gotten a kind of a tough card here. But I do think that even though there's so much of this stuff and there's this gloom and doom, I still think this game is going to be very good. So for me, I'm still cautiously optimistic. I'm just disappointed that, Series X would have been really empowered by a game like this.
So if I can add on real quick, I don't want nobody to think that I'm like tearing down Halo or that tearing down 343. I don't want 343 to ever be kind of held back by that whole thing of this is what Bungie would have done. I'm glad that they got some people from Bungie to help kind of to wrangle in what's going on to stay true to the concept of Halo. But I definitely want I have been enjoying what they've been doing with the franchise when it comes to the look and feel of Halo. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The look and feel they're hitting the mark on that for sure.
But I like what Tim Dog's saying, and I really hope this is something that actually helps 343 in the long run. I've heard it said in business before, sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to take 5 steps forward. So honestly, it sucks that they blew the launch of Halo, now you got me saying Master Chief, Halo Infinite to be next to the Series X. And honestly, that puts them in a bad light with Microsoft, because now you've probably annoyed some of the executives that had high hopes for the launch of the Series X. And so at this point, I don't like using Downer's term of make or break, but it definitely puts 343 in a position where, please don't really blow this. You guys have really kind of created a major delay, but let's see if we can benefit from this now by creating a stronger company in 343, a more stronger management team, and getting some leadership to help right this ship and get it going down the proper direction, basically.
Mhm.
You know,
Is Jeremy?
I know for
are
a
you
fact,
podcasting
Phil,
from a freeway?
no, not even close. There's no freeway even near me. I know for a fact that Phil has a great relationship with Joseph, and I know I could almost say with certain he's the one that brought in Joseph to kind of shape and head the helm with at 343. I know for a fact. I mean, who can say that? But
I do have to say this. I mean, somebody even brings up in the chat, Froggy here. 343 did have something like 5 years to put this game together. And I do understand, there's different internal struggles going on, but, it's 5 years now. They'll have 6 going into next year, and they have like 3 other support studios helping them. This is, there's definitely seems to be a little bit of mismanagement going on here.
Hey, Polyphony Digital spends 6 years on a car game. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
that's fair.
Some games, I mean, look at Cyberpunk. It's taken probably 6 or 7 years they've been spending on development since like they've had the production on it. Like,
but at least to kind of say how much third-party support did CD Projekt Red hire to help get out Cyberpunk or any other titles that they've done?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They also don't have. There's so much other things going into this game, like multiplayer. Cyberpunk have multiplayer, probably not.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. There's a lot more aspects of the game.
Like, at least in my industry,
look at Last of Us. It wouldn't have been out either had they actually shipped it with the multiplayer that they promised 2 years ago. It's still not done.
Well, Cyberpunk
still not finished.
Cyberpunk's been in development for like 10 years. So that's
they built their own studio, not studio, but fucking engine.
Yeah.
Well,
like
technically,
shit like that
they were building
time.
an engine for Halo Infinite too.
That's a little bit different. I mean, there's so many moving parts to Cyberpunk. And again,
so wait a minute.
Biased,
did you say it's different for one company to spend 10 years on a game and they built an engine, and another company does it in 6 or 7 years, and
so
you're like, that's a different situation?
They're waiting for the technology to catch up. CD Projekt Red, they envision a game to where it was very technological driven experience, and it finally caught up to where they can make the game they really want to create. And Halo is not that game.
Yeah.
See, now you're trying to create an engine around a console that hasn't been invented yet. Saying like with the engine that they had to make over at 343.
Well, 343, they kind of knew that they had an idea, because obviously, being a part of Xbox Game Studios, they had an idea of when the console was going to be coming. So
yeah.
I mean, it does suck though. I mean, Xbox is going to have this big gaping hole in their launch lineup, right? So, that is a big blow to them. But I would much rather them put out a good game, a finished game, than something that, you get kind of piecemeal, right? So,
I mean, at the end of the day, like, they were still going to go up against Cyberpunk anyway. So, I mean, I think it's better just to get that out of the way. Everybody's going to be playing Cyberpunk anyway. And then a few months later, or who knows when it's going to be delayed till, but if it's like early, like maybe spring or something, then that's not even that bad. So.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, because if it would have released, like, people just would have been on them because of just the state that they showed it in, which again, I like the direction that they're going. I think there's a lot of pluses, but they do need to address some things, and even content too, because they were very vague. They're very vague on some things. So I'm glad that they decided to go the route that they did. And hey, you know what? I respect 343 for that. At least they're addressing some concerns, and they're being open about some things.
Yeah.
Right. All right, fellas. I think we beat this one with beat this horse a little too much, but either way, I'm still looking forward to 343, and we'll move along here. Whoa, who's?
See, I tell you, someone's sitting on a freeway, man.
Jeremy jumped on GTA after all that talk.
I was just about to say, we got San Andreas going on there, but it looks like last week Xbox Game Studios, they saw a couple of more releases over this past week. One was from In Exile, Wasteland 3, and then from Xbox Global Publishing and Don't Nod, we got Tell Me Why. I've been hearing a lot of critical praise for Wasteland 3. In fact, I've been delving into it a little bit. And Tell Me Why is looking, well, it's seeing pretty favorable results right now. Now, I'll keep this one open to anybody who wants to kick this off. Has anybody on the panel spent any time with these games? And if so, what are your impressions?
Yeah, I had a chance to play both titles, actually. But I'm a huge fan of Waste. I've played all of them, 1, 2, and now, obviously, 3. But the RPG mechanics and the strategy elements to Wasteland are second to none by far. You know, it's strong suit. In Exile has always had great writing in their games. I mean, when you look at the Bard's Tale series, and now this, you know, I mean, did they close off? Are they closing off this generation in a good way? The answer to that is yes, but by default, really. But you can give credit to Xbox because they have the foresight, you know, in acquiring in Exile, and with Tell Me Why launching via Game Pass. I thought it was a smart move because, you know, that developer is very well known for its story-driven experiences. I've seen what In Exile is capable of doing ever since, you know, the original Xbox launched. Now I hope with a larger budget, you know, the potential for some of these games that are coming out, whether it's a AAA experience, the potential can be fully realized now because they create great games. Wasteland 3 is it's getting some praise, a lot of praise. It's critically acclaimed for sure. So I'm curious to see. It was a great pickup by Xbox. So I'm looking forward to seeing their next game that's going to be releasing on the Series X, you know, maybe in 3 or 4 years. But yeah, you can say that they did close this generation strong with the pickup of In Exile and Tell Me Why going to Game Pass day one. That's important to Game Pass. So I know people really wanted to play Don't Tell Me Why. Tell Me Why. And the same thing goes for Wasteland 3.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Did you guys get a chance to play Wasteland 3?
Yeah, I spent some time with it. I really like.
Rough. It's rough. That game will kick your ass.
Yeah, like, okay, first of all, I really do like the customization right off the bat. Like, it is very in-depth, lots of really cool RPG mechanics to start off. And I've only spent a little bit of time with it. I'll spend more time with it going into this next week. But yeah, man, I created a problem with maxing out my intelligence on both characters, and I was trying to go towards a more sniper rifle, assault weapon loadout. But the problem I had was I had no AP, so I couldn't attack until a round later. And by then my guys were just getting killed. So I had to start the whole damn game over again. And it just seems like you have to find ammo in the game. So you have to actually scourge and salvage for ammo in the game. Which makes it extremely difficult because you could run out of freaking ammo when you're playing the game. So it's very, very strategic. And like,
it's a wasteland.
You're winning these maps by the skin of your teeth. You're winning these encounters by the skin of your teeth. And that's what makes it kind of exhilarating in a way when you're playing Wasteland 3. And that's the appeal to it. Yeah. So I really enjoy the series. I think, again, In Exile is just a great pickup by Xbox. So they have a bright future for sure.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, In Exile is really. You look at when they were announced, people were like, "Who are they?" Or they, this is a small studio. Who cares?
Well, they've been in business for a while, Tim, and you know
right?
that.
Yeah, I know, but it just didn't come with much fanfare. But you looking at them and looking that they also want to create an RPG AAA. I think that you're in pretty good hands with them, and I'm happy that they're going to go that route. The Wasteland 3 I haven't tried. I could tell it's going to not be my type of game. I've been playing Battletoads. I talked to Invader about it. But overall, yeah, what a signing by Xbox to get them, because they are definitely quality developer. 86 Metacritic. A lot of people will buy it. Was like number 2 on Steam. Xbox Game Pass. I mean, listen, Game Pass is a wonderful thing. You can try the game out, and you might actually find something that you love that you never knew. I'm gonna try it out, but like I said, it might not be my type of game. But overall, very excited about the studio. Looking forward to what they're gonna create as a RPG AAA.
Absolutely. And I have to go to the chat. ATL just dropped $2 for a super chat. He says that the dude shooter console is dead, long live variety. And I think on the panel, I think you get a resounding yes. We definitely agree with you on that. It's amazing.
That was a big critical thing about Xbox. It was a dude shooter box, remember?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Gunscon.
Gunscon, yes.
Tim remembers those days.
No, it's true. The whole Forza, Halo, Gears, Fable thing. I remember that being thrown in Xbox's face for, a good number of years. I mean, I always liked a lot of the back catalog that they had, some of the old IPs. But again, we're gonna start seeing the new studios and the fruits of signing them. Obviously, Playground Games with Fable, but all the new IPs coming for like Avowed from Obsidian. I would imagine that the Outer Worlds 2 is on the way, and God knows what else.
Well, Ground is going to be huge too.
Ground is it's already huge. It's they just released their
preliminary
timeline. Yeah, their timeline or whatever. It's really looking cool. Also about Obsidian, I just found out this week that Josh Sawyer, who's one of their directors, or is a big guy up in the developer as far as Obsidian, he's also creating his own game, and it's not Avowed. So we also have to look forward to that game. I mean, as far as RPGs, at this point, Xbox is going to be far in the lead as far as variety when it comes to that for consoles. So that's nice to see, because like you said, we remember the shooter dude bro Doritos and Mountain Dew jokes and all that stuff. All that stuff is really, it's by the wayside, and it's funny. It just goes to show you how much things can change. And I just think that sometimes people, it becomes more and more prevalent, but Xbox really has a lot of studios under their helm that are making a lot of games. And, they even got games like Flight Simulator from Asobo. That's not really one that they own, but still part of their first party. That's, that game, if they can announce that game with launch window, like Sony's doing, and show graphics of it running on Xbox Series X, that'd be a nice thing. I think that's the way to go for them if they want to, kind of keep people, the ones who are going crazy about that, little at bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do think it's going to be within the launch window, probably towards the later end. The launch window is now 6 months from launch. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So use that same logic and just show Flight Sim. But overall, I think there's a lot to be excited about with Xbox. And, we talked about a pre-show. I'm just not co-signing with some of the negativity that's going on right now. There's just so much to look forward to. And, they might be a little light for a year or two, but, man, they're going to have a huge run when these games start to come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I gotta say, so far in my playthrough of Wasteland 3, I'm having a good time. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, like Tim said, but to me, I really like those kinds of tactical RPGs. It's very strategic, a lot like XCOM actually, which I have to finish off. I have such a backlog right now. XCOM's on that list, but Wasteland 3 is definitely on my list. It's it's got a lot of customization and it's fun. It's I really want to dive right into that.
Well, it's definitely a hardcore experience, no doubt. It's for the hardcore. You can't. For someone who doesn't play video games, they can't just jump in and play Wasteland. No. Now, it does have a easy mode, which is a lot easier to get into. So for those who are jumping into the game, you can jump into that game on easy mode, which is very forgiving. And then, when you're ready to take the plunge, dive into the normal mode, which is really hard, which is really difficult. I could see Tim just getting really frustrated in 5 minutes and just turning it off.
So I know the way I am. If it doesn't flow with me, I start to get frustrated. I don't think that. I'll be quite honest. I don't think that it'll last. But I am willing to give it a try. Maybe I won't make myself an Einstein like you did. I'll just try to do the intelligence a little and the other qualities. But I heard from Iron Addict, from Iron Lords. He says the game's amazing. Jez loved the game. If that's your type of game, I think it's called the CRPG. You're going to be in heaven with this. So. Again, it's striking that variety, that's hitting the Xbox, and it's also on Game Pass. People forget about that. That's pretty crazy that something like this is on for you to try. There's no excuses.
The game is funny as shit, too. There was one scenario in the game where you're talking to the leader of whatever you want to call them rebels or whatnot. And he's talking away, yapping away, telling you how he's going to do this, yada, 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 yada. And he gets his head blown off by some guy just hanging around, and it just splatters all over the screen. It's just hilarious. Some of the story elements in the game are freaking hilarious. The game's very well written, and it's very customized. Someone like Centurion will just have a field day with that game.
See, I was trying to say I am interested in this in the Wasteland franchise.
Yeah.
The second game is still in my backlog, but I only picked it up a few months ago. And now that I have the second game and the third game's out, which game would you suggest playing first? Because I know the second game looks totally different compared to the first.
Yeah, no, dude.
The third.
It's more. Yeah, the third game is more accessible for sure. So just do 3 right off the bat. You can always, it's different. It's a different story, but yeah, it did leave off after the events of part 2, but you don't really need to get into it. So,
okay. Because I've been told by a few people in the community, the second one is kind of going to be an acquired taste, where the third one is, like you said, more accessible. But I did pick up XCOM. That's also in my backlog too. So I'm right there with you on that one also, Invader.
Yeah, I think I told you I suggested you to pick it up, so we're both guilty.
and my wife overheard you telling me that, and she went and found it on Amazon, like the complete Ultimate Edition for $15, and I was like, yes, get it.
Yeah, that's the one I got too. It's well worth it for all the goodies there.
But no, Wasteland has definitely interested me since I've seen it. I love the sci-fi / Fallout look to it. I know it's not Fallout, but I just love the idea of a wasteland. No pun intended.
It's it's kind of like Fallout, but a strategy game. So it's completely off the walls. I mean, you can get this animal perk where you hire animals to fight by your side, and they're just robotic, and they totally have a mind of its own. So it's just they create some unique scenarios in the game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of Fallout in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
but
no, either way, it's
there was a strategy to Fallout. If you really think about it, if you used the VAT, if you used the VATS system, you would pick and choose which enemies you would shoot at first based on just location and what you could do with your character.
Well, on Fallout 4, I know we're getting off topic, but Fallout 4, right? I created a character where it was heavy in action points, which is the VAD system. And I conserved all my ammo. So I just focused on melee combat and I didn't waste any of my ammo. So later on in the game, when I finally was able to use some of my ammunition, I just stored it up, and just went, hey balls. Hey balls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We got another super chat here from Victor Alistine. Hey, Victor. Thank you very much for hitting us up with the $5 super chat.
Thanks, Victor.
Congrats for hitting 1,000 subs. Great panel and good discussion. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good discussion too. Well, hey, there's lots to talk about in the industry, man. And, with some of the supposed drama going on at 343 and just like, again, we're still waiting for a whole bunch of announcements, and yet there's still like all this stuff being trickled in between. So it's a good thing we have all kinds of good games to talk about, right? Alrighty, guys. Well, on that note, we'll move on to another topic. And you know what, guys? We just had the Gamescom 2020 streams, and obviously it's been different this year with their streaming showcases. I've seen a lot of mixed reactions from certain game announcements, or maybe the lack thereof is the right term. But still, we got a whole bunch of trailers. I thought some were pretty decent. Jeremy, I'll go over to you first on this. What did you think of the Gamescom streams overall? Or maybe not.
Dude, that was mind-blowing.
Thanks, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.
I was on. Sorry, I was on mute. Gamescom is for smaller developers. Obviously, it's like K-Pax, or what is it called? Jeez, can't even think of the name. But it's for Gunscom. But no, it's Gunscom. Gamescom is for smaller developers.
What convention are you going to? I'm going to Gunscom.
You gotta tell them why it's called Gunscom. This goes back to 2015.
Jeez, you want me to tell that story? Okay, so
just tell it quickly.
Xbox went to Gamescom and just showed everything. That's why we called it a shooter box only, because they just showed nothing but pure guns and explosion, those types of games. And I called Tim right after the show. I was so pissed. I'm like, I'm fucking selling everything. I am not taking this shit no more. That's it. I'm done.
So
you took your Xbox shirt off and threw it in the trash right there?
I did.
One of the first times. This is the first time. Then just this is like the first time he did it. He played PlayStation. And he's like, Tim, what the fuck's going on with this? I can't even. The PlayStation Network sucks. He's like, I can't even download a game.
Dinosaur. We're talking about the network was just totally unplayable. It was just a shit show. I'm like, I'm going back to Xbox. So that's the story.
Yeah. So we used to call. He was complaining that Xbox was just one genre, and saying Gunscom, because all Xbox was Gunscom. He likes games like, to believe it or not, like Everwild and even some Kinect games he was a fan of. But he likes variety.
But as far as some of these games that were catching my eye, I think Dragon Age 4 is still in development, which is pretty cool. That DLC for Doom. I love the Doom series. And Centurion, Jurassic Park Evolution comes to Switch. Look at that, buddy.
Have you ever played Jurassic Park Evolution?
I did. I played on Xbox, but I think you have a Switch, right?
No, I don't. I have a Switch.
I thought you had a Switch. Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, I'm sitting on a few consoles, but yeah, definitely I got a Switch. I don't play exclusives or console wars. I play games, and I am not hindered by having to choose.
Yeah.
Sorry, not trying to be be one of those guys. I'm just saying it. Like, I'm not trying to be. That's why I don't perpetuate console wars, because I don't need to get involved.
Yeah. But what else was good on the Medal of Honor? I'm a huge Medal of Honor fan, so I'm glad that that game's coming back.
Oh, the VR game.
We can always look for some more Medal of Honor. I'm looking forward to that. I I think if Sony can launch that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in that launch window, it's going to be a huge hit for Sony, no doubt. So,
see that me and my wife are also interested in that game.
Yeah,
I want to check it out. It looks, dude, Ratchet and Clank was one of the first games I played on the PS2, so I definitely want to see what they have been like. I think it's great that Sony wants to actually launch their console using a game like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, and it showcases that their technology for sure. I mean, absolutely, 100%. So I think if they could do it in that launch window when Xbox really doesn't have anything, I think it's just important for Sony to do that, and it's a benefit, obviously. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, Ratchet and Clank does look pretty good. Like Centurion was saying, I really enjoyed Ratchet and Clank going all the way back to the PS2. I just think it's a really good platforming game, and I think Insomniac really has something there. And Sony, if they can definitely get it to that launch window, that would be a really good move on their part. They also, since we're talking about PlayStation games here, there was another game that really caught my eye actually from their catalog, Quantum Error. It's a horror game, like a sci-fi horror game. That looked like a pretty cool game. It gave me almost like recent Prey vibes. I thought it was pretty cool what they showed off. Actually, there's a lot of horror games. There was that Song of Horror.
Yeah, horror games are making that comeback for sure. For sure.
Yeah. But what about on the Xbox side, guys? Because they did have some stuff there, admittedly not as much as I would have liked. I guess on the PC side, they officially announced the Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, but obviously that won't see the day on Xbox. Call of the Sea got more gameplay, which it does look like a pretty cool narrative-driven game, as well as Second Extinction, that dinosaur game.
Yeah, well, they just showed primarily indie games. You know, it was like, what was it, like a 12-minute trailer or something? Maybe not even that. And they just went through all these games that are coming out, indie games that are coming out for Xbox. So, but yeah, it was definitely a missed opportunity for sure. I think they could have done a little bit something special, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. They did show off that ID at Xbox game. It appears to be an exclusive game to Xbox as well, 12 minutes. It has Willem Dafoe as a voice. Yeah, actually, it has a really big voice cast.
You know who's also voicing that, right?
Daisy Ridley.
Okay, thank you. All right. That one's actually flying kind of under the radar. Actually, because I read an article today on her on how she's been having a hard time finding a job since doing Star Wars, and 12 minutes was actually one of the first gigs she's got since doing Star Wars. And I think it's really awesome that the gaming industry is actually starting to kind of swoop up some of this talent that the entertainment industry in general is just kind of, you know, leaving by the wayside right now during this whole pandemic.
I think Daisy had a lot of jobs. Then Star.
No, the article, she flat out said in the article, since Star Wars, she has not done anything.
No way. She
was actually, she had applied or whatever you want to call it, auditioned for a few roles during the wrap up of her final year as Rey, and even then, no one bit on anything. And she even said, yeah, for a while there she wasn't doing much of anything, and then all of a sudden, you know, they wanted her to do some voiceover work for 12 minutes. So I just think it's awesome.
Daisy has the talent definitely to land back on her feet.
I'm
definitely. Not worried about her.
Dude, like, no, it's just honestly, sadly, I hate saying it, but it's like that whole, you know, kiss of death for a career on Star Wars, you know, because, like, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, look, where's Daniel Radcliffe? Sorry.
No, that guy, he's not a really.
Come on,
you gotta use a better.
That's why I'm just saying. Just saying his name, I'm pretty sure people right now are like, "Who the hell's Daniel Radcliffe?" And I'm like, "Oh, Harry Potter." You'd get more people going, "Oh, that guy."
Yeah.
Well, and isn't he the Batman now?
No, that's actually the funny part is, oh my God, what is his name? He was the guy from Twilight.
Oh, right. My mistake.
Yeah, but the
Jeez.
funny part is, before he did Twilight, he was actually in Harry Potter and Goblet of the Fire. So, technically, yes, the new Batman was a Harry Potter character. You guys can go look that one up. But yeah, anyway. Anyways.
Be looking up some dudes on the internet.
Let's go back to Gamescom. I actually had it because back on what Downer was talking about, Dragon Age. I think it's funny how it was just shots of them talking about the game. I feel like they're trying to paint a new picture of what's going on at BioWare compared to what we've heard, especially during the Anthem development. What do you guys think?
Did they say anything about Anthem?
Oh,
the new version is still.
The only thing of Anthem that was shown was the javelin that was in the front lobby of whatever building they filmed that whole Dragon Age thing. Is you could see a javelin in like a glass case in the lobby.
No, Anthem, they're not going to say anything about Anthem until whatever content they're working on is actually done. So,
because I know it's been in development again for at least a good year and a half. So we'll see what they do. But
well, props to BioWare and EA for trying to save that game in some form. But
I will give them props if they do not charge people for this update / new game. If they come out and say, hey, by the way, for all you people that bought it day and date, you need to buy it again. That right there would just be a complete slap in the face.
I'll never buy another EA game if that happens.
Well, I question. I when I see EA's publishing a game, I instantly question it right off the bat because
like Squadrons.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I don't know. Squadrons just doesn't really. I've been burned on the Battlefront series, so I don't really.
Squadrons doesn't interest you. I was about to be like, great. Now that EA is coming up, like Squadrons doesn't interest you. I want to check out Squadrons.
Speaking of EA, just a little tidbit here. I was on Twitter and I saw this thing about Madden, and it shows in Madden. I think it was 21. It shows like the stadium, and like when you zoom in, you see on the rafters it says Madden 19, and then you look down further, and then it says Madden 20.
No.
Yeah. This says 10. I think I retweeted it. But that's how bad they've gotten. And I talked to pre-show Invader.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it actually has Madden 19 in the back, and it says like a quote, and then Matt.
It's funny you bring that up, Tim, because I got into an argument with my boss. He's a huge EA Madden guy. He bought the $100 version. He has to play it 3 days early.
Oh my God!
And I told him, I'm like, dude, you get screwed every single year. They might as well just update the game, charge you X amount of dollars, $20 to get the new roster, because they just serve you the same shit. They do you with no lube, basically. Come on, buddy, just stop.
This is really This like you said should be $20. Listen, anybody, even the UFC 4. I talked to Invader. He's like, "What have you been playing?" We were talking about Battletoads, and I said, "Don't get UFC 4." And one of the reasons is that the graphics are better on UFC 3 than they are 4. No joke. Like it is a marked difference. I guess they were trying to make it work better online. I heard that was the reason for it. But yeah, EA really at the end of the generation's really taking a dump here, and any buyer beware with any of these games that are roster updates, and some of them like 2K21. Putting themselves a paywall to play on Series X and PlayStation 5. You have to buy that $100 version, the Mamba version, the Ultimate version, or else then if you just get it, you'll just play Xbox One X version on the Series X. So yeah, they're really honestly, sometimes developers do some shitty stuff, and the gaming community is great for calling them out. This has to be called out. Madden, EA, and
Tim, don't lie, Tim. Did you buy Madden?
Of course, I'm a moron.
Now I have to at least say you blamed the developer. Now, do you think this is a choice that the developer said that we want to reuse completely old assets, or was this EA going, you're going to reuse old assets because you're going to hit a price point on how much it costs to make
I think
this
it's
game?
just to be honest, I think it's the developer. They just ran out of ideas, and they've been reusing assets, like you said. You think like you're getting a new game.
Oh, but I reuse assets in my thumbnails and stuff like that on YouTube. But I'd be
Yeah.
sure I'd be sure to update the assets, especially if they say the word 2019 or something like
Yeah,
that.
go look on my Twitter and look at what I just said. I just said laugh out loud. I mean, it's ridiculous. You have two different versions on the stadiums that been updated, and they're not even reflecting the accurate version. So it's
Yeah, I know. I'm like trying to get to my thing so I can see this photo.
Well, that's EA though.
I want to hear your reaction. Just let's see, Satori. Just go to my Twitter and just tell me what you think of that.
That's the equivalent of like Xbox
That's
using
bad.
the same. Yeah, that's bad. Dude.
That's really bad. That means they did no fucking work. Excuse my language, but they really,
EA puts the least amount of effort into it.
You know what I noticed is I play franchise. I have like a 27,000 point legacy score. I noticed that they had this huge update, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I hope this isn't the update that's really Madden 21. Because like I noticed different things, different animations, different kind of callings on the screen. Like you could see captain where it wasn't there. Just updates. And I shit you not, I really think that is all it is. It's an update that you get, and then they just update the roster. And the sick thing about the roster is that they're out of freaking whack. You get better rosters from your community than you can on the actual updated roster. So it's like really
you need to be called out on that. That's the equivalent of somebody buying a burger, they didn't want any other return it, and then they sell that burger to somebody else. They're getting ripped off.
Yeah, it's honestly it's really bad. And
I have to just say, because damn, dude, that's crazy. And I just think it's funny how yet another company is going to get a pass. And like Tim Dog, you said it yourself, you bought this game, and there's people over here that make jokes all day long about Game Pass fodder and all sorts of stuff like that. And honestly, a game like Madden would do well in a Game Pass situation, because I think people would be more open to that.
It'd be fairer. It'd be much fairer, to be honest. Because this is crazy.
I'm thinking about games that have done that throughout history, like, Pac-Man, for example. You put a bow on the head, they call it Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, but you're talking about, I agree, but you're talking about, and they did charge full price, but the consumer awareness right now is so much higher than it was then, and video games are taken much more seriously. But to have that in this day and age in 2020, it's just honestly, I think that's like a class action suit. Like,
dude, what a debacle.
You gotta show what the hell you did do. I heard the franchise is the same. All it is put it this way: on Friday night, I'm playing all night Madden 20 when I have Madden 21 downloaded. That's all you need to know, because I'm suspicious, and you know what? I was suspicious even though I bought it, because I always buy it. And it's that stupid of me to do, and it's ignorant, and you can call me out on it, because it's just something that I support, which I shouldn't be. But I knew it. I knew that was going to be the case, but this has never been this has been to the point where I never seen it. Like, this is at a different level.
They didn't even try to hide it.
Yeah.
No. Definitely not.
Like that 2019 took some focusing. Like, he had to actually focus the image. But when you get to 2020, I mean, I'm sorry, a person. Oh my God, yeah, there was no hide in that 2020.
Oh, no, that's rough. And that's again why I don't trust EA with any of their games anymore. Maybe Respawn, but besides that, I'm very careful whenever I get an EA product. I'm like, I don't know. I definitely I try and stay away from EA as much as possible, unfortunately.
It's funny people are talking about the NFL license, maybe like going to someone else, or maybe like not exclusive to EA. So people were thinking of like, oh yeah, it could go to 2K, but we're like, they're just as bad.
Yeah, 2K are just as bad. They're basketball games.
Why didn't they at EA? They should have at EA. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoever did that was chicken shit. They didn't want to at EA.
Oh, this guy, he wants to get into it with EA. But guys, just to close off the Gamescom, I thought there was some okay trailers. Like, I'm looking forward to the Mafia Definitive Edition. Personally, comes out in September, and again, a few of the Xbox titles. I thought there were some good trailers overall, but it just this. I don't know if you want to call it a conference or streams. It just didn't really do it for me. I mean, it looks like Xbox had won the best hardware for whatever reason. That was kind of neat, but nobody could really vote on
Sony
these things.
didn't show up, so that's why.
Yeah.
Hardware were those going to win?
Listen, I think putting this way, I think that if Sony had its price out and going by, I think original plan was Xbox to have their event in this month and at Gamescom during the Gamescom. But as I said earlier, I think that they're looking to either undercut or match the physical disc version of PS5. Definitely a pricing thing there. Even though Phil says they're not our competition, he does know that this is a business, and I think the ideology right now has changed. I think Xbox is looking to gain players versus Sony willing to look to sell consoles. So I think that's where it really comes down to when you get these kind of statements. But besides all that, Xbox, I think, was planning to do something, and that plan, I think you're going to see unveiled pretty soon. And I do think that they're going to come after Sony. Because I think that they went this long, they figured we have to just take the beating. But you will see gameplay. You will see, they have 2 months to show and make their case. And like I said, people are overreacting, I think. But you're going to have pricing. You're going to have a lot of things that are going to, come up that are going to influence your buying decision. And the gameplay is definitely existing. It's real.
Mhm.
So I just think that your Gamescom, the reason why Xbox wasn't a big presence was, well, I know, because they were scheduled to do that. So they're pushing to do something in September.
Mhm.
They still have to announce Xbox Series S. So it's all coming. It's just a matter of waiting.
All right, got to interrupt here. Megatron's tuning in the chat. He just gave us a $5 super chat. Megatron's just away at the moment. He took a little trip. He should be back next weekend. But Megatron, thank you very much for that. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Yeah.
$5, Megatron. You spent all that money in DC, huh?
You're gonna hear something from Megatron, Jeremy, about that, but. Again, guys, like Tim said, there will be some stuff happening soon on the Xbox front. Well, probably both Xbox and Sony front. September should be a good month to hear some announcements because, damn, we need some prices. But, okay, fellas, we will move on to some more interesting stuff that was making the rounds this past week. And we're hearing more and more talk about Perfect Dark. And journalist Jeff Grubb recently dropped some tidbits stating that the Initiative's game is set in the Perfect Dark universe, but may not involve Joanna Dark or even anything that involved the previous games as we know of. Going on to compare the situation from Titanfall to Apex Legends. So very interesting there. Tim, I'll go straight to you first on this one, bud. How confident should we be with Jeff Grubb's information? Because, well, it's been hinted at for a while that we've been getting something Perfect Dark related for a while from the Initiative, and we've just been waiting and waiting to hear about this game.
Yeah, I think it's 100% true. It's concurrent with what I've heard from some of my other sources, some sources. Like I talked to Rand for the longest time, and Rand doesn't like to admit it, but he definitely has inside information. He's very he's quiet about it, but I've talked to Rand, and this has been a rumor for the longest time. But the last time I talked to some people, they both said the same thing. They said it could be Perfect Dark, because for the longest time it was, yes, it's Perfect Dark, but now it's changed to kind of what like Jeffrey said. It has something to do with Perfect Dark, but it's not necessarily a reboot or what you would think that you would get. So I think that Jeffrey Grubb, honestly, is one of the best journalists going as far as information. He's not been right every time, but who's been right every time? But he's one guy that if you listen to, he's been correct about a lot of things. He predicted Sony's show. He predicted the dates. He's predicted, many other things. So, 100%, I think that they're working on it. I just, like I said, I don't think it's Perfect Dark reboot. I think it's Perfect Dark universe or whatever. And I do think it's probably, going to be a pretty sick game. So, the talent that they have at Initiative, and they just hired 16 other developers, and they all range from all these awesome studios, and this is in addition to the people that they already have. Listen, there's enough talent there, and I think that they'll backfill it with more developers. But I think that Perfect Dark universe, AAA third person shooter, just like he said, or third person action adventure, is coming. And Xbox is showing a lot of their cards, but they still got a bunch of stuff. They got Fable, but they also probably have another Forza Horizon. They have Initiative game, which is another AAA, or as they deem it, quadruple A, 4 A's. Outer Worlds 2, Josh Sawyer game. There's still a lot of things that are still not announced, and this is the big one though, and I think we'll see it next year, and I think it'll probably be the closer for just a guess, a wild guess here, but closer for whatever E3. I think if they have an E3, I know Phil said that I think he wants another E3. But obviously, we don't know with COVID where we're going to be standing. But if there is an E3, like in the traditional sense that we've had, that this will be the closer. I've heard very good things, and you put this game up and you look at the games Xbox is going to have. It's very impressive. Halo, Fable, Forza, Avowed, State of Decay. This game, Perfect Dark, just like I said, there's no reason to be, down and out anymore.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we were talking about a September showcase, so you don't think that we'll hear anything, not even like a CGI trailer for whatever the initiative's working on?
Listen, I mean, whatever Xbox does seems to doesn't work for them. What Sony could do that, and then everyone will be like, "Oh my god!" It's just like 2016. That's what happened in 2016. And yeah, there were Xbox guys, Crap Gamer, and everyone were like, "Where's the gameplay?" And it didn't stick. But with Xbox, they show something like that, and then everyone's like, "Well, where's the gameplay?" And it seems to stick. So it's like you can't. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. It's possible. Originally, that they said that you would be hearing more about the initiative in the beginning of the year, if you remember. They talked about that. Booty had said that. So if they do have a September event, I think, if you want to announce it there, that's cool too. But I just don't know. I think that maybe Xbox might hold off on the CGI and on announcing some of their, they announced a bunch of games already, and I think that it's possible, or even just to even talk about it or to acknowledge it would be more than enough that they could do. They could say, Initiative is working on just basically confirm what Jeff Grubb just reported. And honestly, I think that'll be enough because I think
Just
people
look at
really
Nintendo with the Metroid Prime 4 JPEG from like 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So there's many ways that they can go. But Initiative is their crown, or they are grooming to be, this amazing studio that pushes out, state of the art graphics, and I think that you will get it, just like you'll get the state of the art graphics with Fable. It's just going to take time.
Yeah.
But I agree with Jeffrey Grubb. I concur, and from what I've heard, it matches all up.
Yeah, and what you said makes sense too, because like you said, there's 16 new hires, studio talent from BioWare, all kinds of Naughty Dog hires, and Respawn Entertainment. It just seems like
that one guy's from Insomniac. I forget his name.
Yeah, but these are all just recent hires too, like within the past couple of weeks.
GTA. I mean, if you look at they got some real serious talent.
Yeah, so this is all
and
very
Gallagher,
impressive.
Who actually made a Tomb Raider a good series or a good game. Their reboot.
Oh yeah, no, they're just not making your standard game here. They're gonna be doing something that it's, well, judging by what Phil was hinting, something familiar, yet they're gonna be investing heavily in this studio.
Yeah, familiar yet new was what he said.
Yeah,
showing some old things but new things. So it does listen, it all lines up. I think we got another case of Fable. The biggest secret that's going to be the best. What is it? The best known secret, or I forgot the Steam or whatever. It's just something that's known that's going to happen.
Worst kept secret.
Worst kept secret. Yes.
Yeah. Before we get into any more, guys, got to clean up some of the super chats. We got Fastback here from NLG Podcast. He super chatted $20. He said, what do we got here? He says, TXR Gamers United Guild fam, looking forward to the Series X. Yes, we have not seen everything, but expect the Series X event revealing price, pre-orders. Gaming is going to be great this fall, no matter if exclusive or not, especially with Game Pass. You're absolutely right, my friend. Regardless. Yeah, no.
I wish a lot of Xbox fans would have that attitude. I talked to some people this weekend, and I'm not to interject. It's just a great super chat there, but I kind of feel like Xbox fans just are very, very. Sony could show something and then they become very insecure, or they become very they get very angry, and that's just not the way to go. Just let the 2 months play out before you start, drawing lines in the stands. But great post, and thank you for the super chat, Fastback.
Absolutely. And just to clean them all off, what we have here, I gotta search up for it a bit. Jeremy had donated a whole $5. Please give this back to Megatron. He was telling me, what a guy. And then of course Megatron clapped back here. And I have to show this for the $10. Megatron.
The black middle finger.
Good show, my friend. You're a good sport. I like that.
All entertainment, baby. It's all entertainment.
Gotta love the banter on this show. Great stuff, guys. But yeah, it's exciting for what's to come from the initiative. Again, not entirely sure. It does sound like it's something. I'm just very curious because I do like the old school Perfect Dark, so I'm curious of where they're going to take things. Sounds like it's going to be, judging by different LinkedIns, it's going to be using a lot of different spy mechanics, stealth mechanics, which, there hasn't been a really, people have been waiting for Ubisoft to get a new Splinter Cell out, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So if Microsoft can satisfy that Splinter Cell kind of itch, that would be fantastic. And that would be another nice tool to have at their disposal as far as IP.
What if Xbox can work some of their magic and buy the rights to Sam Fisher? That'd be cool.
Well, nothing's
know
out
what,
of the ordinary.
That's not. You know what? That's not a bad freaking idea. But you know what? I hate to say it. I don't think that they would sell it. I think that they realize that they.
Sam Fisher that he can use in the perfect dark universe. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, like leasing out.
Mhm.
I do think that
wrong
Xbox.
timeline.
Yeah. I do
Perfect Dark
think
in the
that.
Shot.
I think it would be good for Xbox to have a nice studio announced. They haven't had that in a while, and that would be nice. But as far as as everything that's going, I'm really excited about that. I think that the initiative is going to definitely. I think it's going to fulfill the need for that realistic graphic, AAA, quadruple A, whatever you want to call it, game. So just more games coming.
Who did they get from Santa Monica Studios again? I think they got the head of.
Yeah, they got some. I gotta look it up. I think it was. They got a bunch of guys. They got like 2 or 3 guys, like a big guy from God of War.
They got a couple of God of War guys.
I was playing God of War earlier today. I mean, to me, it's a technical marvel. I mean, as far as the graphics.
As far as the combat in that, In Exile got the lead for God of War on that. So these. It's not like the studios have been been stagnant. They've been, I think I explained it either on RDX or this show. I think even like the ability for like Compulsion. I think Compulsion was like they were upset being that they were considered a smaller group. And sure enough, I think they pushed for it and they said they want to make bigger games. They don't want to be these, everyone assumed that all these studios have to say. And believe me, they do hear what they don't want to be a triple AA fodder. They want to be with the big guys. And that's like when I said that, I once said, Xbox doesn't want to talk about they hired over 1,000 developers, and put a spotlight on that. And the reason being, from what I've been told, was because you don't want to say, hey, I threw 500 developers at project or this studio and only 15 at this studio. These studios are all pushing to make big games, from In Exile to Compulsion.
You brought up a good point, but when you can have the creative freedom, which Phil is allowing them to do, I mean, the sky is the limit. You can create
exactly.
And
you listen. We interviewed Compulsion, and Compulsion to me is going to be those dudes that were putting things that were very risky and risque. Like you take a happy pill. That narrative, and we asked them like, how do you like pass that with somebody who's publishing? And I forgot the name of the gentleman. He's still heading the studio, but he was like, we're gonna go with what we find is interesting.
Sam Abbott.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that Compulsion pushed to be bigger, and guess what? They're getting a new studio that holds 120 developers. So, and they're a studio that's coming from 45. So it's a good thing that these studios, even though they're not buying a lot of studios, they're definitely investing a ton of into them. That's why you're seeing, all these different games, like these developers making 2 or 3, Obsidian, they're making 2 or 3 games. It's crazy.
And strategically, too, Compulsion's in a pretty good place. Like Montreal is where they're based, and there's all kinds of developers there right now, whether it be WB Montreal or Typhoon. There's all kinds of indie studios there. It's a really happening place right now for indie developers. So they got a nice pool.
I said, keep an eye out for them because, like I said, I do believe I think that they fought against that. Like, they were like, hey, we see all this growth. Why not us? And you know what? I think they got what they wanted because, like I said, they got a big studio and they're looking to expand. They're looking to hire. And like I said, they're willing to take that. I mean, if you look at the We Happy Few, even though the game didn't turn out great, but the storyline of what they were trying to push and some of the things like the alternate timeline and everything that was involved in was very interesting. So they're going to be they're a dark horse. I definitely.
Yeah, I think
watch
they heard
out.
of some of them are from BioShock franchise. Some of the devs.
Yeah, they are. So I'm very curious to see what they have working on, because We Happy Few, it was riddled. I remember playing that in preview, and it was not what I expected, but I thought it was okay when it released. I enjoyed it. It had a really interesting concept, and I'm just so curious to see what they have cooking up next, because they've been so silent as to what their next game is. So I'm kind of curious if we'll hear something about them next month.
Deadly. Yeah, like I said, I like that like there's that competitive thing, because people are just expecting these studios to be like, hey, you're just going to be AA filler, you're not going to have that much pressure. But with Phil, and one of the things that Phil always said was creative freedom. So when you have creative freedom, then you're going to say, you know what, I want to make the bigger game. I want to push the boundaries. I don't want to be a AA filler for Game Pass. Who the hell wants that? Put yourself in the developer's position, and you're going to push for more. And that's exactly what I think is happening. And like I said, watch out for Compulsion. I think that they're going to be like, they'll throw some twisted shit at us that will be like, wow. Just because I remember even at that E3, I was sitting next to Jeremy, and we were both looking at each other like, what the hell is this game? It looks totally cool, and it didn't pan out, but they definitely can. They definitely have the ability to strike, a certain.
Yeah, definitely had the style.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
Well, again, guys, it'll be curious to see what the studios will have to show us. And again, going back to the whole Perfect Dark thing, I'm just so curious to see what the initiative have cooking up behind the scenes. Hopefully, we learn more about that in the near future. However, we will move on to our last topic tonight, and it appears as if a new patent has appeared suggesting that Xbox could be working on some kind of VR support for the Xbox Series X and possibly even the xCloud. And now Xbox has been kind of silent on the VR front in the recent years. However, Xbox head Phil Spencer has praised a few VR games recently in recent months. Shock Buddy, I'll start with you on this one. Should we take this patent seriously?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they do have a lot of like VR devs now, like Ninja Theory. I think was it In Exile? I can't remember.
Yeah, they do have some kind of VR. Yeah.
So they definitely have devs that are kind of in that space, and who knows what this new Project Mara thing is, but there could be some cool psychological, thing they do with like mental health with like VR with Hellblade. So they could definitely, I could see them doing something with that, and they've had the experience. But I don't think they need to. It sounds like they're developing their own, but I always thought they should just you already got two perfectly good headsets on the market. You're already PC centric. Those already are on PC, so it doesn't really make sense to me to spend the R&D on it. But it's cool to see that they're going in that avenue at least.
I think that Facebook partnership is a key one. I think they can do something with Oculus in that regard and get some of these smaller titles not so taxing as far as the graphics goes, and just roll it out that way. It'd be beneficial for both Xbox and Facebook. So who knows? I mean, maybe we'll see a partnership there.
Absolutely, because I was wondering that myself with this whole Facebook streaming partnership, and I just wonder if there's more to that, because obviously they, like Jeremy said, they have the Oculus Rift. They just acquired, I forget the studio's name off the top of my head. A few months back we had talked about it, but they've been acquiring studios as well, and it would just be an interesting way for them to get more content on their platform by securing possibly Facebook's Oculus Rift, and just to get into VR too, because I've been seeing a lot of different content coming out of, let's say, Sony's PlayStation VR. They've been getting some interesting games on there. Jeremy, you were talking about the Medal of Honor VR, and I just think it would be cool to have this kind of selection of games coming to the Xbox platform, the ecosystem as a whole.
So it's tailored to a small market, but VR keeps getting people buying, VR games. There's a slow amount of consumers that really want VR, slowly but surely, whether it's 5% of the market, 6%. Every year it goes up a little bit. It doesn't go down, it goes up. And I think you're just going to see eventually VR, it's not going to be mainstream, but it's going to take up a considerable chunk of the market to where it's going to be, no, it's not going to be a force to be reckoned with, but people are going to invest more dollars into it. And I think Xbox is going to have no choice eventually to be a part of VR because, whether it's Sony, what's the other company? Sony, you got Valve doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of players in VR, so there is a market for it. It's just a matter of whether or not Xbox wants to be a part of that or not.
It could be a huge seller with the flight simulator if you play that on console with VR. That could be huge, as well as with Forza. So.
Oh, absolutely. They could do stuff with even their own games, just like tailor them to VR. I think there's a lot of potential there. Like you said, Jeremy, it's very niche, but it only has a certain market appeal.
That brings up a really good point where you don't even have to buy the flight stick. You can have it could still be very precise with the motion controls using VR technology on the flight sim for an amazing experience. I mean, no doubt about it. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm,
did you see all those? I didn't know it had real-time weather, but then people were like flying into the hurricane that was going on. I thought that was
that's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, that was crazy for the Hurricane Laura there, and people were just flying right into it. It's like, holy crap, real-time weather events like that. That's to me, obviously that's current gen, but it's just, that's crazy stuff that's happening in games right now. I'm just so impressed with that game, what it's able to do. Centurion, do you have any thoughts on this?
I've been listening. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really had a huge interest in VR. I had a friend that got one. We went over to his house. We played around with it forever, and then next time I saw him, I found out that he got bored with it and actually sold it. So I haven't really had a big dabble into VR. Now lately, I have been having this itch to want to check it out because then I see Vader Immortal is now coming to the PSVR.
Yeah,
it's already out.
Yeah, see, that's where now that kind of piqued my interest because I'm like, well, I got a PS4. I got a PS4 Pro, so I should take advantage of that and get a PSVR. There's a couple games I thought would be kind of fun to check out. Skyrim. Is it their VR version of Fallout?
Yes. No, there's not.
There's not a Fallout 4 VR? No. I could have swore there was.
There might be, actually.
They talked about it, Todd Howard, in the whole Project Scarlet video at E3, but it never came. I don't know if it came to PC, but
well, at any rate, VR is now starting to get to the point where it's actually caught my attention and it's gotten me wanting to start kind of checking it out, but I am not a big fan of the whole wires and everything that comes along with VR. So Oculus has been the one that's at least caught my attention on it being more of a wireless system. And that's where if I ever did go VR, at this point, I was leaning more towards the PC purely for the wireless part of it. But if by some chance Microsoft is now starting to look at wanting to go into VR, I've always thought they would use Oculus as the way to do it. Microsoft is showing little to no interest in developing any kind of hardware for VR. They've kind of shown that they have a great reputation with Oculus and Facebook. So I've always thought that Oculus would be the way to go for them. And that's why I've always leaned towards the PC side of going to VR. I really hope it does come to console, though. I think it'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And silence.
No, I do think there's some interesting games that could come to Xbox platforms, and the ecosystem if they went after it.
I think, well, that's why I think it's awesome that Shockley actually mentioned Flight Simulator. That'd be one of those games that you would definitely want to check out the VR experience for that game. Also, it's actually kind of funny how it showed no interest, but Star Wars Squadrons, that's all first person perspective, and I think that would be also a really fun thing to do in VR as well.
Well, did you get a chance to play like a few? How many games have you played in VR? Centurion.
God, I'm in the butt. One or two? Not two.
Yeah, you got to try the whole. It's a great experience. There's nothing like it for sure.
Definitely try RE7.
Yeah.
See, those are the ones that I wish I would see. He got it when it first came out, and a lot of them came with that demo disc. The PSVRs, they came with the demo disc that had like a couple. It was like VR Worlds. That was the one. There was a sci-fi one, which was a shooter where you sat in a cockpit and flew around and shot at things. And then the other one was where you got in a cage and basically went to the bottom of the ocean and got screwed with by sharks.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty good ones that I played. That Gran Turismo Sport was pretty decent. I don't know if Jeremy, have you played that Moss game? You know, with the one with the little mouse. That one's pretty cool.
I did get a chance to play, but it was only for like a couple of minutes. I also played it's called Concrete Genie on PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
that game's great. I really enjoy that game. I can't wait to play it on VR. I heard it was very good on VR, but I've only played the just the regular version of the game.
All right. Well, all right, guys. I think on that note,
does it make me weird that I was not interested in VR at first?
No.
I mean, it's not.
I think that unfortunately that's part of the problem. It doesn't really have an allure. A lot of people are mixed on it. A lot of people say, I'd rather play on a controller. A lot of people say, here it gets you sick. A lot of people say, I don't want the thing to be over my head. So,
I didn't like the screen door effect on the screen. That was my main complaint.
My take on it, I know we're going to close the subject, is that if it really starts to hit off, and right now it's despite what, if you want to be real about it, it's doing okay, but it's not like, if it becomes like a big option and people are all over it, I think Microsoft will look at it, and when it becomes a viable option, I think that, like you said, wireless, a lot of the things, the screen door effect fixed, the motion sickness clearing, and you have a large percentage of people looking at. I think Microsoft will look into it, but as of now, I just think it's a third-party thing. And aside from Phil making his comments and getting killed about it, which he probably shouldn't have said, we don't really talk about VR at all. Think about it. We only talk about playing Xbox, and really that's what all the talk is. The games that come out are all on console or PC, but it's still in that phase where it just needs to grow. And I think when the technology becomes, a little more refined, I think that Xbox should possibly get involved, or like you said, or somebody was saying, get involved with Oculus. Because that just makes the most sense, especially if they go like with Facebook gaming, maybe have some type of deal. But in the meantime, I think in the next 2 to 4 years, I don't think anything's really going to happen.
To make it mainstream, to be honest, everybody has to try VR porn. I mean, just stop what you're doing right now. If you have a VR unit, watch porn on it. It's the greatest experience you'll ever in your life. So that's it. That's my take.
And the show has gone off the rails. Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Either way, the girl will be disappointed, right, Jeremy? All right, good show tonight, guys. We're gonna close this one off. And honestly, guys, really, really good discussions tonight. Talking about obviously Joe Staten taking over part of Halo Infinite, the campaign, Gamescom 2020. We just finished talking about Xbox VR patents, and we talked about a lot more stuff. As always, thank you to the crowd that showed up in the chat tonight. You guys were very active and also very positive as well. So it's always great having you guys join us every Sunday night. And if you haven't done so already, then be sure to leave a like, share this episode out, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things TXR. Again, awesome show tonight, fellas. Now on to the outros, and I'll start with Tim Dog. Tim, where can everybody find you at, brother?
xCloud Tim Dog on Twitter. You could also find me here every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. RDX on Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, same deal. And, you know, I've been playing just Battletoads, just quickly on that. Like me and Invader talked about, it has a lot of potential, but kind of fell off. What happened with that game, I don't know, but if the game stuck with just brawling, it probably would be an 80 Metacritic. Other than that, I'm almost finished with it. It was a nice thing. You could try it on Game Pass. And, you know, I heard that, you know, stay tuned. I heard stuff's coming. So just, you know, stay tuned. This month, definitely, maybe even next week, we have new things.
Oh, you said that last month, but I don't believe you anymore. So
No, I was right. I was right about that. But no, I said that about when it was supposed to come out or was announced. But I wasn't even here the last month.
No, there's definitely a lot of good stuff to look forward to, Tim, and hopefully we just get those damn prices by now, you know. All right, moving on down the list, fellas. Eric Shockley, great show tonight, bud. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, great show. Yeah, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live, and yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, brother, definitely. Moving on down, Centurion Buddy. Some really good commentary tonight. Pretty fun night. Where can everybody follow you?
Well, it's been a great show. Thank you, gentlemen, for definitely helping entertain my Sunday night. It's where you can find me every Sunday night right here on the TXR Podcast. You can also find me on the Shop Podcast every Saturday night. You can also locate me right here on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter at Centurion1307 as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, yeah, lots of good comments coming in. Screw the price. Let me pre-order it. Yeah, no, definitely Infinite. My sentiments with you on that one, buddy. And finally, going on to Jeremy. Where can everybody find you at, brother?
Yeah, you can always give out my Xbox. It's down there, Space J. But if you want to find me on PlayStation, you can. It's Green Knight 07. Green Knight's one word. It's capitalized and 07. That's it.
Alrighty. And guys, of course, I'm Invader, and always you folks can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming, and I'm pretty active on Twitter, so follow me at Invader_1986. We can't wait to talk games with you next Sunday, and if all goes according to plan, we will have something very cool to showcase to you next Sunday. But until next time, fellas, have a good night, and take it easy.